We've got quite a few guests here this evening, members of the public, so thank you very much for joining. Just want to say, first of all, we have an agenda, which obviously we're going to run through. In that agenda, there is we have a 15-minute public open session, and members of the public can raise any matters of interest to them. The way we operate, the way we're supposed to operate is, for other parts of the agenda, we have to let the councillors get on with it. Obviously, you can always contact us after the event if you have any other further comments, etc. But the public open session is the time when you have the opportunity to speak, if you wish to speak. And if you do want to speak, just please would you either wave or raise a hand in some way, depending on your technology, and then I'll try and call you in one at a time, and we'll try and give people as much opportunity to speak as we can within that 15-minute period, if that's okay. Okay, so, and if you're not speaking, I think if everyone can be on mute, please, to help everyone else hear what's being said. Okay. So, first of all, can I take any apologies for absence?
We haven't got any, but I can see Catherine isn't here. I think everybody else is here, I think. Yeah. It's hard to work out, isn't it? But yeah. Okay. Well, we're not. Well, that's fine. Okay. So we carry on then. Item 2 is declarations of interest in items on the agenda. Have you received any written requests, Sue? No. For a dispensation? No. No. Okay. And there are no other requests, I take it then, for a dispensation today? No. Okay. So moving on, item 3, to confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 7th of January, which have been circulated. Are they an accurate record of the meeting, please? I've got various nods and thumbs up. I'm going to take that as approval. Thanks, everyone, for that. Item number 4, to consider the action to fill the vacancy in the East Ward through co-option. As I think, Sue, you've probably communicated, we didn't have a request for an election, so there's going to be opportunity to co-opt. I think we just need to agree the process for that. Kind of make a recommendation that we advertise it through our usual social media channels on our Parish Council notice board, and we consider co-option at the March meeting. Is that okay? I think I'm just looking for agreement across the board here. I think. Okay.
Fine by me.
Yeah, thanks everyone. All right, good stuff. So moving on now to public open session. I'm pretty sure we've got quite a few members of the public here. Oh, hi, Catherine. Welcome. And is Brett here from Wilton Parish Council?
Despite the fact that my name tag says Denise Clark, that's obviously the brains of the operation. That's my other half.
You've confused
yes, I am here. Yes,
right. Okay. So Brett, you've written to us obviously about East West Rail.
Yes.
And I just want to reiterate the point that when we have these public open sessions, it's not for us to debate with you or between ourselves. It's for us to listen to the public and then to consider. You should know, obviously, as the chair of a parish council yourself, and then once we've listened to you, we can then agree any next steps we want to take. So the floor is yours, please.
Thanks, Mark. Hello, everybody. My name's Brent Fielder. I'm the chair of Wilton Parish Council. Thanks for letting me speak to you tonight. I'm a member of a group of parish councils, a coalition, if you like, that are opposing the double line railway track that's set to come through our parishes and through yours. We oppose the lines not just because they're going to run right through our patch and blight our daily lives, which they will, but also because the choice of route, we believe, is wrong. We've got a petition, we've got a Facebook page going as part of our fight, and we're meeting with the minister to air our grievances. Now, the purpose of me addressing you tonight is that I was asked by the group to invite your parish council to join us in our fight against Route E, against the line through Brickhill. The parish councils around you are already involved, and I wondered why Brickhill wasn't. But look, it's pretty straightforward. If you're all happy with a double railway track running right through the middle of your parish with freight trains running 24/7, diesel fumes, noise from the trains and the tracks, air horns, then that's an end to it. But if you don't want that, please join us. You'd be very welcome. Now, I've just asked, do you want me to go on and explain a little bit of the background very briefly about where we are now? Or if all the members of Brickhill Parish Council are for the railway line, then I'll have to leave it at that. So does anybody want me to go on?
Yeah, I'd like you to say more about what is planned.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay,
yeah,
thank
I'll
you.
just give a bit of background first. I'm not going to call you Denise. Sorry. Right. Brent, sorry. So obviously at the Parish Council, we have discussed it back in early 2019.
Yeah.
So it has gone through our processes. We have, and we did reach a decision there to endorse a northern route. So, but please, if you want to outline your case, and then, as I say, we can then decide as Parish Council how we want to go forward afterwards.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt. That's quite surprising that you voted for a line to go right through Brickhill, but that's your prerogative. Now, the group that I'm a part of, we don't oppose the line going from Oxford to Cambridge. There's going to be a new line run through from Oxford to Cambridge, whatever happens. If you think you're going to stop it, you're not. That line's going to go ahead, supported by all the major political parties. It will go ahead. But our section of the line is the bit we're concerned about, the bit that runs from Bedford to Cambridge. Now, everyone, including us, agrees that it's a great idea to get freight off of the roads onto the trains. Less pollution, less congestion. That's going to happen. But we believe that the route should run from a station south of Bedford, somewhere near Wixham's, and run eastwards from there, not come right through into the centre of Bedford, up to the north, straight through Brickhill. Now, East West Rail came up with 5 options for the route. 2 northerly routes, running through the middle of Bedford and through Brickhill, and 3 southerly routes, running from a station south of Bedford and across to the east. We believe that the route should be chosen on 3 key points. First of all, economic. It should be at the lowest cost to the taxpayer and generate the most benefits at the same time. Route E was given as the most expensive in the technical report of 2019. Route E is the one that comes through Brickhill. Environmental, the line should do the least amount of damage in construction, and longer term it should avoid pollution from diesel particulates during the lifetimes of the line. Route E is long, it goes up huge gradients and through tight turns instead of a straight line from south of Bedford to the east. Thirdly, the actual use of the line. When East West Rail were given the task of selecting a route for the line, they were asked to find a route mainly for passengers. Since then, it's become increasingly apparent that there's going to be a lot more freight than they envisaged. And so, actually, East West told us that they would never build a mainly freight train route through the middle of a busy town and up dreadful inclines through Brickhill because it was too expensive for freight. Too much infrastructure was required. So, of the 5 options, unbelievably, Route E, the northern route that comes through Brickhill, was selected by East West Rail. We believe that if you look at all the points we've raised, then this is the wrong route. It'll mean a massive engineering programme in the middle of Bedford, going on for years to increase the size of Bedford Station. When it's done, there'll be freight trains running through the town centre and up through Brickhill at all times of the day and night. And you're going to get pollution along the line from diesel trains. There will be diesel, there won't be electric. The minister's definitely confirmed that. On top of that, the increased traffic to get through an already gridlocked area of Bedford where the station is. Can you imagine how it will be, A, while the engineering works is going on, and B, when everybody's driving in because there are more trains? Some of the key points: Mayor Dave fully supports Route E, and so do some Bedsborough councillors, not all. Since Route E was chosen, East West Rail and Bedsborough Council are now saying it's very cheap route, it's very cheap, but they won't disclose the figures or what's changed since we were told it was the most expensive route. So we've had meetings with East West Rail, we've had meetings with our MP. We've got a meeting with the Minister of State for Transport jacked up, and we've got a petition going that's caused the issue to be debated at Bedsborough Council on the 24th of February. So where are we at? They've chosen Route E, which we're still fighting. But as for the actual exact alignment of the route, that's not come out yet. It's due to be announced soon, within the next couple of months, certainly, by the sound of it. But we obviously know the broad area, and the bit that you're in, Brickhill and Ravensden, are in the narrowest little pinch point. There's no way at all that that railway can come through your parish and not affect you big time. There's a lot more detail involved than this, but I hope I've managed to get some of the main points over. So my message would be, join us, fight Route E against the double railway line through your little patch of England, sign our online petition, join our Facebook. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brent. Obviously, we've heard what you've had to say. Am I still on mute? Oh, no,
Yeah.
good. Right.
Mark, after this, someone else wants to speak. It's Mike Barlow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so once you finish, do that. Once he's finished.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just a bit conscious of the time. I'm not actually watching my clock, so I need Sue to help me out here. So, Brent, you've given us a very, eloquent explanation for your views on that, which is good. I'm going to ask if anyone else wants to speak after you, if you could try and not repeat the same points. You have any different points to make, that would be helpful. So, Mike Barlow, do you want to jump in, please?
Yeah, sure. Look, I'm not going to repeat the points that Brett said, but I do agree with everything he said. The point I'd like to make or ask is, how can the parish council not oppose it when it is so clearly a blight on Brickhill Parish? The only conclusion I can reach is that it was done on partly political means, because the mayor is Lib Dem, and I guess you guys are. And I just think it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting that it's been passed. The only two people that opposed it were the people on Woodlands Park. It's going to be running, if you look at the map, if it follows the southernmost route on the map that's been published, it's going to be running right up against residential areas, particularly in Woodlands Park. And how you can look yourselves in the eye when you've actively not put the interests of your residents first is, I just find it utterly disgusting. So my expectation is that the parish council will oppose it.
We need to hang on, we're not having a debate here, Sudesh, so this is for residents to speak to us and us to listen to them. So Mike, thank you for your comments. Does anyone else want to speak from the members of the public who are on this call this evening?
Yes, please, but I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you, but I can't see you. But sorry,
Okay.
could you just say who you are? Could you just say who
I'm
you
a
are?
resident on the Woodlands Park. I'd like the parish council to actually justify why on earth they have supported a route that goes right through major urban areas and then the greenfield site to the north of this beautiful part of the parish. Makes absolutely no sense when there's other routes that can use existing routeways that are much less populated. And I just can't believe that our parish councillors are going to vote for something that's going to destroy this environment. Absolutely criminal.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else want to speak, please?
I've just got one more point, Mike. It's a very brief one, if I could, and Mark, and then I'll leave you to it.
Yeah, thank you.
All I would say is, if you want to have this debated at your parish council, you can put a notice out now that in 5 days' time, you're going to have a meeting dedicated with one agenda item, which is the railway coming through Brickhill, and you can debate it again, and you can decide whether you still want to support the railway line, or in the light of the comments from your parishioners, you want to change your mind and join us in fighting it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, well, colleagues, so we need to decide what we're going to do now in response to Brent and Mike and the lady, Mrs. Brazier. My concern, my issue is that, from my perception of the situation, that decision was taken and was announced in early last year as to the route. So that, I see that as being, it's too late for the route.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not too late.
Well,
Sorry.
sorry, Mike. But that's my perception now. I think I'm open to colleagues on the council here, the councillors, to articulate what they would like to do about this. As Mike has said, we could have a special meeting. We could debate it in our March meeting. In March, we actually, and sorry, the other thing I'll just point out is there is a meeting of the Town and Parish Council Network at the Borough Hall, or the Borough Council Town and Parish Council Network next week, to which we are all invited as parish councillors. And there is a presentation from the guy from East West Rail at that meeting. We might find out more, we may find out more then. I don't know. So, sorry, I'm going to, Mike, sorry, Brent, I'm going to try and keep going if I may, because I think we've probably used up the time on.
I don't think you have, Mark, and you're quite entitled to extend the time for something so important as this. You're not going to find anything out on the 11th. I've spoke to Bill Gallagher. He's not going to give details of the alignment of the route. It's not too late. It's been more than 6 months since you last debated this. Your parish can change its mind. You can still object. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Brent. Okay. Anyone else want to, any of our councillors wish to suggest a way forward on this? Catherine, please, you're yeah, go ahead.
Hi. There was a reason why we went for this route, because I think we debated it quite extensively at the council. It wasn't just a willy-nilly decision that we would choose this, because the whole idea is to protect our residents and our members, you know, people that live with our neighbors, sorry. So there was a reason. I'm happy to go to the meeting to see if there was something that we missed when we made our original decision, and to look at that. But I think we took a very long time, and I think we spoke on it more than once. And I think I think we had a presentation as well, or we went to the presentation that was presented, but it was more than just a one-time debate that we did. But I'm happy for us to go to the meeting next week, and then if there's new information, and at the time as well, residents were invited to comment. So it wasn't a secret that we were making this decision. Like with all our agendas, it's always up to residents to come and comment. But I'm happy that people are happy to participate now. So I like democracy, and I like the idea of us going to see what is said at that meeting, and then us then having that debate. Because I think if there's something new that we missed, then I'm happy to be corrected, because I'm only human, really.
So can I just say, I think my recommendation, we need to move on. So I'm going to make a recommendation here, and people can vote me down if you want to. I'm going to recommend we discuss it in our March meeting.
Too late.
No.
Okay.
You have to act now.
Excuse me, Brent, sorry, please. This is for councillors. Okay.
I thought this was the public part, Mark, where we were allowed to speak, where you weren't allowed to shut your parishioners down. There's obviously a few people on here, councillors and parishioners, who want to speak.
No, so what I said, remember what I said at the beginning, this isn't a section for a debate. This is a point where we listen to the public, and then we can decide what we want to do about it after having listened to what people have had to say. I've actually got Michael John Webb, and I've got Charlie Royden wishing to speak here. Michael.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the biggest issues that's certainly going to happen for Woodlands Park in the next 10 years that we're aware of now, and I think it's something we need to revisit. I propose that we have a special meeting just to discuss this topic before the main meetings come up towards the end of February. So I quite agree that in the next week or so we ought to have a special meeting just to discuss this, where residents can attend and air their views as well. So it's done in a proper and timely manner.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Charlie, you wanted to speak.
Well, I just wanted to say, Mark, that I think that it's very regrettable that Greta's turned this into a party political issue and come along here tonight. And
I don't think he has at all.
I'd be obliged if I could have the courtesy of just being listened to. That is a democracy, and this is a parish council which is meant to be democratic. This was not a decision by the mayor. This route has been adopted by Bedford Borough Council for over a decade, and it has the support of all political parties. Now, I think that's important to stress because this is not a party political issue. It's about the route for a railway and what is best for that railway for Bedford and for Brickhill. Now, my own concern is that if we take a line on this particular railway that we want to oppose the route per se, then we may end up with a route that we do not want. Now, my position on this route is that it does not go straight through Brickhill, and there is no reason why it should go straight through the middle of our parish. And that's inflammatory language which has been used this evening. My position is that it should go north of Ravensden, north of Brickhill. And I think if we as a council argue for that line, then we will get a position which is good for Brickhill as opposed to one which is bad where it may come closer.
Right. So now we are turning this into a debate now, and I really want to. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be having a debate in a proper forum where people
neither should we have misinformation brought along on part
There's
of
been no misinformation at all, Charles. You are clearly for a line that goes through your parish.
Charles, have you looked at the map? Have you looked at the map? Because it shows, the map shows it going about 100 yards north of where I'm sat now. 100 yards north of where I'm sat now.
Sorry?
Don't say it doesn't go through the middle of Brickhill. It does.
We need to move on.
And it's your responsibility as parish councillors to represent the parish.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry. This is not an argument. This is not a forum for an argument. We've listened to you. What I'm trying to do is agree how we're going to go forward from here. That's my aim as the chair of this meeting. I'm happy to. I'm in the hands of the councillors of this council. If you want to have a meeting, a special meeting, as has been suggested by Michael, that's fine. If you want to have a debate in the March meeting, that's fine too, with the proviso that in our normal agendas, we're normally pushed for time. So having a thorough discussion is harder in a regular meeting. I'm easy. I like meetings, right? So if we want to have a meeting, Michael, I'm happy to support that. We can prepare it for it. We can listen to what people have to say for themselves. We can look at the relevant information and bring that to the table at a different meeting. And then people can then think about what they did last time, and they can decide whether or not they wish to do so again in future. Alistair, I know you're indicating, but I really want to avoid getting into a debate this evening. I'm trying to simply agree a way forward. Alistair.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, for that. I'm just supporting Michael's view that we need a special meeting on this. I know that there was a historic discussion on this. It might even have predated my time on the council, but I think that was 2 years ago. Then a lot of information has come out since then, because 2 years ago, I don't think the northern route had even been agreed. So I think a separate meeting specifically on this. I think we've heard opinions from the public, obviously forcefully said and rightly so. That's fair enough. If there's any other information that we need to be aware of, for example, one thing I hadn't heard from anybody, and I do keep an eye on the East-West Rail link, and I am registered with their news information thing. Never heard anything about freight mentioned anywhere, so that was new to me. So if the nature of the line is changing, then I think we need to be aware of that, and also take a view as to what we think given the latest information.
So again, let's try and stop. Let's avoid the debate if we can. And let's just agree what we're going to do. So we've had I suggested dealing within the next meeting. Mike has put an alternative view of it. Let's have it as a special meeting. I suspect that's probably a better idea because of the volume of people and the way they wish to contribute to the discussion. So what we could do, we can have that meeting. We can have an open forum first of all, and then the councillors can decide whatever they want to decide. Okay. And I think at least that way we can separate out our regular business from this particular item. And I do agree with Michael. It is a big item. It has potential to impact on the northern edge of the town, including Woodlands Park. So it's important from that point of view. Absolutely. So, councillors, I'm going to let's go with that flow. Let's go with a particular meeting, which is, we can call it a public. We can have a special meeting of the parish council. We'll have a public forum. We can listen to people, and then we can debate and decide if we want to do anything different or anything in addition to what we've already previously agreed.
Is that okay?
So so Michael's proposed an extraordinary meeting. So who's in support of that then? Michael,
I second
put your hands
it.
up if you are, please. Councillors, obviously. Okay. So I think that Michael's not put his hand up now. You were, weren't you?
I'm sure he will.
I think that's everyone with exception of, I can't see Peter or Sudesh.
Vince voting.
Right. Okay. So why don't you agree to that?
Well, let's do that then. And that's I think that's probably it for tonight on the railway
We'll need to sort
issue.
a date out, obviously,
Of course,
that fits with majority
and
council.
just to be clear on this one, we will do the regular publicity. We'll tell people about it in advance so they can come along and contribute. And we'll work out. I mean, what I appreciate is that 15 minutes public open session is a very short length of time for any member of the public to speak. So I'm sure we want to have longer time than that. It's just not practical from our regular meetings, I'm afraid. Okay, so can we move on, please? I'm afraid members of the public, anyone else wishes to speak on any other matter other than railways, I think we are out of time. And if you're only here for the railway issue, you're welcome to stay or you're welcome to drop off. It's entirely up to you.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate you giving me your time. Thank you. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
You take care. Right, thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you. All right, so moving on. Right, so I'm going to move on to item number 6, financial matters. Sue, you've circulated the bank reconciliations and accounts for payment.
Yep.
Can we approve those, please?
There is one more, which is St Mark's office hire, 500 and
okay.
£64.99b.
Can we approve all that, including the St Mark's bill?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Item number 6.2, to agree a payroll provider to process the payroll. As Sue's pointed out, the Borough Council is ceasing to provide that service to local parish councils. And you have found a replacement, Sue, that you're happy with?
Well, I have. I did contact the two companies that Charlie suggested. They were more expensive. I know Morris was quite keen. We had somebody in Bedford or in the area. I know Pam Anthony anyway, from Turvey and other work. So I think she'll be good at doing it. She's now going to be doing Turvey, Kempston Rural, Willington, which are other parishes obviously of mine. So yeah.
So is everyone happy with the lady from Turvey?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. But it's formally we need to agree it. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Item number 7, to receive reports from the borough councillors. Have you received any reports, Sue?
I received one from Charlie and I forwarded it. Well, you've all seen it, but I've also sent it to Simon for the website.
Oh, I haven't seen that actually, but okay. Thank you. Anything from the Great Barford Borough councillors, Philippa or Stephen?
Yeah, just to say that I spoke earlier to Sudesh and we're going to have a socially distanced snagging patrol next week.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you. Any questions for, let's do Stephen and Philippa first. Is Philippa still here? Sorry.
Philippa just had to leave.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise. Any questions for Stephen? No. Okay. Charlie went. So appreciate you've circulated a report which I haven't seen. But anything else you want to add, Charlie or Wendy?
No, happy to take any questions on it though, Mark. It's obviously a report from Wendy and I, and we're both happy to take any questions anyone's got.
Okay. Has anyone got anything they want to ask or comment on?
I think Peter's asking.
Sorry, Peter. Yep, please.
I haven't actually seen the report, Charlie. It's not come through on my emails yet. But there was one question for you. What has happened to the bridge in Manton Lane? It is still not open.
Thanks, Peter. It's just going through its safety audits and what have you, and as soon as it's done that, it'll be open. So I expect it to be, it's in the report, it's meant to be imminent, Peter. So, you know, perhaps only a couple of days now, and I would expect it to be open. They fitted it in the snow, which was quite a feat, really. Did a good job. So I expect that to be open very shortly, Peter. And last meeting, you did ask a question about the traffic lights. at Kimbolton Road incoming, and I think the agreement that we've had is that they're going to have an advanced area for cyclists, which will push the motorists back by about 4 metres, and that will give better visibility of the lights and what have you. So I think that should satisfy the concerns that we had.
Yes, it should do.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else got any comments or questions for Charlie or Wendy? If not, then sort of moving on, if I may. Thank you, everyone, for those reports. Item number 8, to receive an update on the upgrade of the motorway walk play area. Sue, do you want to talk to that, please?
Well, as you know, we said we were going to go with RPM, Reed's Playground Maintenance. I did meet with them straight after the last meeting, and then when I asked for a refresh of the quote, it was £4,000 more than it was in 2019. So I think it would be sensible, and I have done. I've met with another company, PlaySource, who did the cleaning of the equipment over on Waveney Green. So I think that is, I'll wait for that quote to come through, and then we'll look at it again and see what we do. But progress has been made. You and I have met out there. Sudesh and I have tried to meet, and there's been various hold-ups on the way, one thing or another. But once PlaySource come back, then I'll arrange to meet up with Sudesh yourself, and then we'll have a look at the options again. Okay.
Thank you. It's worth just pointing out that you mentioned the increase in price. Part of the problem we've got, is it correct to say this, Sue, that it's not just the equipment, it's the ground as well, the safety stuff, safety surface on the ground.
Well, it is, but so the quote for the equipment, which is from a company called ProLogic, who did the Waveney Green equipment, that's fine because we got a discount, and it's working out about £10,000 for 3 pieces of equipment. So that's not the problem. It's the quote from the installation company, Reed's Playground Maintenance. They're going to be the ones who would install and do the surfacing. So ProLogic don't do that. They simply provide the equipment and to an installer. So it's the cost of the surfacing and the work that needs done to clear the equipment that's there, clear the bark, etc., etc. That is where it's gone up, and I think it's worth getting that extra quote. I did go to Wicksteed, but Wicksteed won't do playground installation unless it's their own equipment. So we can probably try and look for another installation company. But I thought, wait to see what ProLogic come back with. If they come back with a similar price to RPM, then we've got an idea that we're in the right ballpark, aren't we, really? So yes, okay. I think somebody wants to come into the meeting. I'm going to have to look because you can't seem to find the link. So I'm going to have to disappear for a minute and come back, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, Sue. Right, so moving on then. I was going to ask Sue about the update on the average speed cameras in Brickhill Drive. I know you circulated a diagram and an email with it.
Yep, I'm listening. Sorry, I'm going to go now. Right, I'm back again. Yeah. Right, sorry, where were we? I missed that bit.
Brickhill Drive average speed cameras.
Speed cameras, yeah. I mean, obviously you've seen what I've seen, and you also saw, I think I put in supporting information that Alan was waiting to speak to the police about it as well. So that hasn't been done yet. Anyway, there we go.
So we're poised, ready to support it as and when it happens, as and when they're ready to implement it.
Mike, could I just say something, please?
Sure.
I don't know if it's the right time to say it. We're looking at the speed cameras, but is it worth also investigating now, excuse me, a width and weight restriction on Brickhill Drive as well, before this new place opens up in Manton Lane? Would it be nice to get that in place before it actually opens, or to get it underway?
That would be, obviously it's a highways matter, so we would have to approach the Borough Council as the highways authority to ask them to assess it and support it. And I think the problem we have, I mean, just from my perception, I know, John, you work up that direction, but yes, you know, clearly we get a mix of traffic going up and down Brickhill Drive. Some of it's through traffic, some of it is that local traffic, i.e. in and out the industrial estate.
Yes.
I have no idea what reaction we have from the Highways Authority to requesting that type of restriction. I appreciate it would definitely reduce traffic coming down our side of the hill.
I think it on a whole, it'd stop people coming from Wentworth Drive right through the town as well, right through Brickhill, which we're getting quite a lot of heavy good vehicles doing that now.
Yeah, sorry, Catherine. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Catherine, do you want to speak?
I think we asked this question when they were doing the work down, you know, the roundabout, about traffic when the bridge was closed. And I think we asked this question of the highways people. And I think they were saying that because of the type of road it is, we couldn't do that. Because I still remember that question being asked because we were looking at it as a way of cutting traffic through Brickhill. I can't remember who the guy was, but it was somebody from Bedford Borough when they were showing us the plans. This was a long time ago, about 3 years ago, when they were talking about the Bromham Bridge and all of the other big roundabout, you know, when they first did the roundabout. And I can't remember, and I think we asked the question about that because we all thought that'd be one way of reducing traffic into Brickhill, but we were told that they couldn't. And that was when they were also planning the stuff at Upper Mountain Lane, I think when the army was supposed to be putting something at the back. And we asked that question.
Yeah.
And yeah, and also I think when the first planning permission for the school went in as well, we asked that question.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because it's a distributor road, and so getting permission to do anything on a distributor road is tricky. Having said that, you look at Wentworth Drive.
Excuse me, it's not just Wentworth Drive and Brickhill Drive, it's also Waveney Avenue as well.
Yeah.
So the lorries are coming through there as well.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Probably Alistair noted, he lives on Waveney Avenue, so he probably know what's going on. The more lorries are definitely using it. And it's going to get worse with this new distribution centre. They've actually got probably 50, 60 lorries a day coming out there. And the shortest route to the A1 is down Brickhill Drive.
Sure. It is. Alistair.
Yeah, I mean, I share the concerns, and I think there's definitely a problem with not only the distribution site, which should never have been put in the first place, of course, but it is there now, but through traffic, and particularly the recycling dump through Ravensden on Sunderland Hill with the green, what do they call it, the growing beds thing. There's a constant stream of traffic going in and out of that. So I'm interested in, if we can't do a weight restriction, is there a time limit that we can put on these things so that we're not getting movements in the middle of the night, which I think is going to be, you know, really very disruptive for people.
So thank you, everyone. Now, I know, Charlie, you're being very quiet. I know this is your portfolio. Now, should we contact the relevant officer at the Borough Council? I mean, I think our request is quite legitimate and reasonable to ask. I don't know what the policy is on this type of stuff.
We can certainly make an approach to the Borough Council and ask them to summarise the possibilities. But what I would say is you've rightly identified that this is an arterial route. It's also a bus route, so any width restrictions wouldn't be possible unless we don't want buses. In terms of weight restrictions, if you stop vehicles going down one road, they go down another. So you have to be very careful of where you're diverting them to. In terms of time restrictions, it may be better to have vehicles at a certain time of the day than the peak hour when it's going to make things more difficult for the traffic. So we just need to be careful what we wish for, really. I think it would be wholly advantageous for Brickhill if we had less lorries going along Linnet Way and Waveney Avenue and those roads which have been mentioned. But we just have to be mindful of where we put them. If you take them out of Waveney Avenue, for example, then they go down Brickhill Drive. If you take them out of Brickhill Drive, then you send them all the way around the town and then back up Kimbolton Road. We just have to be careful of this because we are talking about major roads. They're not insignificant roads. These aren't just small residential roads. That's all we have to be wary of. And of course, the other problem is that any weight restriction is only enforceable by the police, and they don't actually enforce any of them. In truth, I don't think any vehicle in the whole of the borough has been prosecuted for going through a weight restriction in the last, how long have I been portfolio holder? 10 years. So just be aware of that. I think that's all the only words of caution I'd give.
Thank you. Well, I guess we can rate, let's formally raise the issue, because it is a concern, but I do appreciate what Charlie's saying there. But if we solve it in one place, we just push the problem somewhere else. So fundamentally, yeah, I agree. I'm amazed at that, locate that building going up there in that particular site. It does seem extraordinary, but are we happy to approach the Borough Council appropriate officer to highlight the issue and ask for some views? I mean, as you mentioned, we've got three things: timing, weight limit, width restrictions. Is that it? Are those the only three parameters we're looking at?
I think we just need to make sure that new distribution centre doesn't use Brickhill Drive. They can use the bypass, stop coming off the A1 and use the bypass what it's made for.
Yeah, stop it. Much better solution, yeah.
All right, so let's. I think we've got agreement to go and approach the borough on that. Let's see how that goes.
I think quite often the council will work with these companies to deal with their drivers, to ask them to use certain routes, and I think that is a very good way of working, and it has worked elsewhere, so that the drivers know they should go to the bypass, which is absolutely what they should be doing. But just as a matter of speaking about unintended consequences, I have had people from Curlew Crescent complaining about the average speed cameras we're putting in, because they perceive that traffic will divert around Curlew Crescent now to avoid the speed cameras and what have you. So just putting in one set of measures doesn't always solve all the problems. It just creates new ones.
Yeah. Okay. Right, so let's do that. So moving on then to item number 11, to review the grant application criteria and agree any changes needed. And Sue has circulated the document, our policy document. Sue, do you want to just talk to your report, please?
Well, if you recall, the concern in the past has been that monies have been given to large organisations. We've been given grants, and there was concern that that wasn't really what we should, as a parish council, be doing. So I've looked at the grant application criteria. I think the form's fine. I don't think we need to change that. And what I've done is I've tried to sort of split it up a bit more to certainly pick out the fact that we are only giving grants to organisations that are based in Brickhill, or organisations that primarily are aiming to benefit residents from the grant that they're actually requesting. And what I've also done is I've taken out of the list of grants given in the past, I've taken out those grants that have been given to larger organisations. So that's what I've done. So really it's down to you if you think that's tight enough. I mean, my only concern was you might find there are organisations in Brickhill that actually don't benefit Brickhill residents. But if that's seen as okay, then you can judge that at the time, can't you, when an application comes in? That's it, really.
Thank you, Sue. And I know there's been a load of emails on this over the topic, and Alistair, I think you were particularly exercised about it. Do you want to say anything at all, please?
Well, I think the thank you, Mark. I think the issue is that we're not in a situation where we can hand out money, no matter how worthy or justified the cause or how passionate the beliefs behind it. We've got to look after the taxpayers' money. It's not our job to take tax off people and then dole it out to charities. We might like to do that, but it's not really what we're here for. So I think really the issue is we can provide donations, but only on a very exceptional and one-off basis to fix specific things in Brickhill, not as an ongoing basis for charities, no matter how excellent they are, but are just using it to, for run-of-the-mill expenses. So that's really my thinking. The application information is definitely tended towards the fact that people would get the money rather than wouldn't. So I think that's one thing. And I don't think the actual form they filled in had anything about defining exactly how it benefited Brickhill, although I don't actually have that note in front of me right now. So I think that's really it. It's just really setting people's expectations as to where we're going with it and what we can realistically do.
Okay, thanks, Alistair. Catherine, you're indicating.
Yeah, sorry. There's a bit of background noise here. Sorry. I just want to correct, because since I've been on the parish, every time we've awarded money, it has been, they had to prove that it was going to benefit people in Brickhill, and they had to show that we've had national charities who've randomly asked for money and we've said no. So on that point, all the time we've awarded money has been to people and with evidence of it. But I think as well, part of it is that we as a parish are required to offer that provision, because I think we've had debated about removing this, and this is, Sue can correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a bit, and if you look at all other parish councils, they have a bit, they all have like a different version of the form, but we actually don't give out as much money as we could, give out, but we tend to be very cautious, and we tend to ask even national or even Bedford-wide charities to identify, and I can give an example of Autism Bedford, where they even actually gave addresses of some of the people they support in Brickhill. So it's not just us wanting to be givers of money, but it's just the fact that it's something that we do, but we take very seriously and look into it and make considerations very seriously. So long as we've had other groups that are Bedford but not benefit anyone in Bedford, in Brickhill when we said no. So just to correct that point, because I forgot to reply to the email trail, but I did see that point, and I kind of wanted to make a point that we don't do that, and we're not just doing it for the sake of giving money, but for benefiting Brickhill people.
Okay, can I just, thanks, Catherine. I was going to just say, technically speaking, we have a power. We can spend money on this if we want to. We don't have to. It's not a thing we have to do. The only thing we have to do is, I think again, Sue, correct me, the only thing we have to do is to consider requests for allotment places as a parish council. That's about the only obligation on us. Everything else is totally voluntary.
Well, yes, you're right. I mean, section 137 is where this money, if we choose to give it, that's where the power to do it comes from. We have a maximum that we can give, which is £8, I think about £8.50 or £8.60 per person on the electoral roll. That's the maximum we can give as a parish. That doesn't mean say you have to give that amount of money, but you do try and benefit charities within your parish, and if you're going to budget for them, then you've got to really be looking to give it. So maybe in the future we need to just assess whether we have too much in the budget as a budget heading, and we're never really actually going to be giving that amount. So you need to think about that as well, don't we?
So I think what I've heard is that essentially the policy seems okay. I don't think anybody suggested amending the policy. Is that correct? Charlie, you want to contribute?
Well, just to come back on what Alistair said, because I do agree with him. The criteria that we have currently, I believe, are correct. But we're not abiding by that criteria. And I think this is the problem, Catherine, that if we give money to Autism Bedfordshire, they do not fit our criteria any more than the Heart Foundation or Age UK or Get Beds Carers, because they're not predominantly caring for Brickhill people. We're not a tax and spend parish council where we just tax all the people in Brickhill and decide who we're going to give their money to. We're there to help Brickhill people, and that was why we drew up the criteria in which we did. People in Brickhill are more than able to give their own money to their own charities that they want to support. But if we end up having to tax people in Brickhill and increase their taxes as we are, then to give that money out to other charities, I don't honestly think we have a right to do that. And therefore we should be sticking by our criteria. Now I can understand why, as a council, we felt that we should support certain work that had contributed to a member of our staff who had suffered greatly, and I supported that. But I think we have to be very careful deviating in future so that we just give to charities because we all have kind hearts, which I know we do, but we should let the people in Brickhill decide where they give their money to. We shouldn't do it for them.
Okay, so it's a message here that we, oh, sorry, Kathy, you want to come back in?
Yeah, because that's not what I said. I didn't say we just give Autism Bedford money. I just said they identified the work and the families they're helping in Bedford, and the reason why the money we're giving to them, because we don't have charities that are based out of that do that work. So they are benefiting our residents, and they have done that. So I'm not just saying we should just give them willy-nilly, but it's because of the work they're doing. And I think at the time they actually identified what it was they wanted to do with the money, that we gave to Autism Bedford. So that's, that's all I'm saying, is that if it's benefiting one of our residents, then yes. But if it's just to add into their, because I think we've had national charities that do random writing of letters or asking for money because they've, passed through Bedford, and we've said no. So it's got to be identified, and it's got to be specific, and it's got to be measurable. I agree with you.
Thank you, but Autism Bedfordshire does not fit our criteria, because they are neither based in Brickhill, neither is the majority of their work for Brickhill residents. And I think that's what we need to understand. So if they came to us again for a grant, if they showed that they were helping certain people in Brickhill, that would not be sufficient for us to be able to give them a grant. I think we just need to all be clear on that.
I'm going to say the grant criteria, if you look at it, says that, because what it says is that grants will be considered for groups that are based in Brickhill, or groups that have a project which primarily benefits the residents of Brickhill. So technically, I suppose, if Autism Bedford were to come forward and say, we're organising a project in Brickhill, this is what it's for, and it's specifically for the people in Brickhill, and it's going to cost £200, then that would fit the criteria. What wouldn't is just simply to say, well, we want money, we will benefit, people within Brickhill will benefit, but not specifically. So the grant criteria does cover it if there's a specific project by a large organisation that actually they can identify the costs of. So it would fit the criteria, wouldn't it, if we had that?
Yeah. So can I suggest? I mean, I'm getting my take on this is that we need to just be more mindful about what our criteria say and endeavour to stick by it. If we don't propose any change to that, that's the message, isn't it? That we have a policy, we have to stick to the policy. So, and it's incumbent upon us.
Mark, can we just be clear that the grant criteria says any organisation or group based in the parish of Brickhill, or whose purpose in applying for a grant is primarily for the benefit of residents of the parish of Brickhill.
Correct.
That's the criteria.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we stick with that policy as laid out. We have, it also includes a timetable for when we review these matters. Quarterly, basically a quarterly cycle, though we're not normally overrun. So let's just stick with the policy. Let's just be mindful of those comments. And sorry, I know Michael, you're trying to come in. Apologies, Michael.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do we have any sort of list or anything of the actual organisations in Brickhill that would fit the criteria? Because it seems at the minute it's mainly like Scouts and similar and local schools that are applying. There must be organisations out there that we're not reaching that could benefit from it.
When we have the newsletter, Mark, there is always a little paragraph in there which actually says we're available if you've got a group that operates in Brickhill, etc., please apply. And we usually give an example of what we've given money for. And that goes to every household, doesn't it? It also goes to on the website. So, anybody who has a group should be able to pick that up from the newsletter, shouldn't they, really?
Okay.
Often it's on the front page, often. Okay.
I think we've had a good conversation on this one, good debate. Can we move on? Can we agree that we stick with the criteria? We'd be even more stringent about how we evaluate applications in the future. So we make sure they fit the either or, and it's a genuine application for people to benefit the people of Brickhill. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone. So moving on now to item 12. I'm sorry, I didn't appreciate. I've sent out an email just this evening with the details on this one. There's an intermittent power problem affecting about 50 or so houses in Morrison Road, Reed Close, and part of Tyne Crescent, where a local resident has alerted us to this problem. With a lot of people now, more people at home, especially people trying to work from home, it is a real problem. And the resident has asked us to for our assistance. And basically, the message is, can we take this up with UK Power Networks, who've got responsibility for the substation covering that area, to address it? It's been ongoing for some time, and it's causing some grief in that neck of the woods. Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
A stiff letter to UKPN. Please, Sue.
Yeah, I'm afraid they're alone to themselves, a UK Power Network, but you can try.
Well, yeah, but they need to be mindful that they are, you know, they are a vital public service, and they need to be more perhaps mindful of their responsibility, shall I say.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's item 12. Item 13, to discuss BPHA plans to replace the garage blocks in Malard Hill and Rooksmead with houses. I've circulated again by email only late this evening the images which I've seen. We've had a long-term problem with the old garage blocks around the Rooksmead Mallard Hill area, where the garages are too narrow for modern vehicles. They're tucked away, they're underused, there have been a source of problems over the years with antisocial behaviour, drugs, thefts, you name it. A lot of people don't want to use them at all. And this was discussed at last week's Housing Committee meeting, which Wendy and Stephen were at, actually. And so BPHA have got a rather large programme to review all of their housing, all their garage stock, and to decide whether to keep them or whether to knock them down or do something else with them. And I know I've tried to alert residents about this in that area. And I think what I'm just disappointed about is the lack of consultation so far with residents, that as far as I'm aware. When the previous garage blocks were replaced by the housing unit behind, is it 142 Brickhill Drive? I can't remember the exact number, the top of Brickhill Drive there on the left. Yep, they were very, sorry?
Obviously the allotment entrance.
The allotment entrance, that's right, yeah. They were BPHA were very good then. They came out, they consulted with residents face to face. Okay, that may not be so easy now, but I think they need to, what I'd like to see is more formal consultation between them and residents before they put in planning applications for those two sites. Because that's the best way. To consult first is always better, rather than do something and then react after the event. I'm not going to make any, no, I'm not going to talk about railways. Can I propose that we do that? Can I propose we write to BPHA and ask them to consult with residents in the area before putting the planning applications in? Because I think they've missed a trick. I know they've got a lot on their plate, but from our point of view, for our residents, they should be consulting.
I agree.
I agree, definitely.
I agree.
Is that okay?
Especially with the parking issues there already.
Exactly, and that's actually a point I think Wendy made at the meeting about parking. It is a concern. As I say, they're not heavily used, these blocks. So, but the access into the blocks is obviously an ongoing issue, and especially an issue during the construction. Wendy, yes. Sorry, you're on mute, Wendy. Apologies.
Sorry, it was only 3 cars, wasn't it? It takes 3 cars.
So each block, they're basically looking to replace houses at one end of each of the blocks, and there'll be 2 3-bedroom houses. So they'll be knocking down a load of the garages, leaving some, because some are privately owned. They're having to work around the ones that have been bought by residents. It's a bit of a challenge. I know some of the residents, I had a comment from a resident who was concerned about her garage and her neighbours' garages. And basically, on that particular block, those garages are remaining as they are, unaffected. And actually, it's probably better because with people living at one end of that area, it'll be more overlooked, more it'll be a safer environment, shall we say, than it is at the moment. Okay, so can we just, are we happy then to just write a little letter to BPHA, say, we've seen the scheme, could you please consult with residents before you put a planning application in? Thank you very much indeed, everyone. Right, good stuff.
Mark, did we skip item 8? I don't want to drag the meeting on, but this was about the Grasscrete. Or did I miss
Item 9?
Or
Oh,
did I
item
miss
9.
that?
Item 1, you missed, yes.
Yeah, I did. Sorry, I ticked it.
Okay.
My apologies. Sorry about that, Sue, everyone. Right. I'm too keen to move on. Right, item 9, an update on the upgrade of, an update on the installation of the Grasscrete parking area in Rooksmead. Sue.
Mark, it was your item. I've got nothing. I'm assuming I'm looking now at Charlie Wendy.
No, Sue. No, I want to, basically, I just want to highlight, because again, we've agreed to fund half of it or contribution towards it, and it ain't happened yet. And I'm just very keen to see it happening. It's an ongoing eyesore.
It would have happened. It would have happened quite some time ago if we hadn't had the objections from this parish council, Mark.
I know.
But of course, it will be completed, we expect, by the end of this financial year.
Oh. Well, they've only got what's that? A month and less than 2 months.
Yeah, it's about 2 months, Mark. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff completed before the end of the financial year.
a lot of digging, right? Well, that'd be good, because it is obviously it's an ongoing. It's an issue for that part of Rooksmead, whereas parking is just atrocious. My apologies for jumping past that item. Everyone happy with that? Note that, and
yes.
And Charlie, please do keep on the case, and offer to hold a torch for them if they need to be out there after dark. Right. Okay, so item 14, correspondence. A list circulated separately. Sue.
It's at the end of the supporting documentation. So there's nothing there really. I think the only thing I was going to say, there's a BATPC, there are courses on finance. I thought maybe Alistair might be interested, because he always picks up the budget. We do pay for the courses, Alistair. You don't have to, pay £30 out of your own pocket.
Yeah, I'm on it, Sue. I'm thumbing through them. I'm going to put myself forward for something. Don't worry.
Yeah, there's only one. There's only the councillor course. I'm on all the others because they're the clerks courses. So you can come along. We don't stop people who aren't clerks coming, but
it does say the internal controls course is both for councillors and clerks. So if anybody's interested in internal controls, that would be appropriate.
Well, I've signed up obviously for that one, given that that was something we were worried about. I've signed up for that, VAT, and I think just end of year, just in case there's something I've not missed on the other courses.
My only comment on all this, and Alistair, this is a point you may want to take, because you're still on the exec, aren't you, of BATPC, so county committee.
Yes, I am. Yeah, incredibly, I am. Yes.
Yeah, so I appreciate you doing that. I noticed that all these sessions are all in the daytime, which is okay for all those people who don't have to have a job, but they could have perhaps be a bit more varied in the way they've outlined, timetabled the courses.
I mean, that's ideal for the clerks courses, because obviously, we do work, but sometimes we go on courses. But obviously for councillors, you're right. So yeah.
They're all like 10 o'clock till, well, most of 10 o'clock till 11:30. A couple of them are 1:30 till 3. That's difficult. Okay, all right. So thank you, Sue, for that. Any other points you want to highlight from Sue's list of correspondence?
I was going to say the only other one, Mark, is about what's going to happen in May when in theory we have to meet in person again. Because at the minute, the government hasn't said any more. And I know that there's been some encouragement from NALC and from BATPC to perhaps write to our MP to raise the concern that we are slightly worried that it may well be that in May we will not be able to have our meetings, which are a legal requirement.
Yeah. Can I recommend, we're very lucky because we've got 2 MPs. Can I recommend we write to both of them and ask them to consider this issue and give us the legal ability to hold our meetings remotely? beyond the current end date, which of the current provision.
Well, if you remember, at the first lockdown, the government was really slow at coming forward with allowing us to have virtual meetings. So they've probably just forgotten about parish councils again and town council.
Okay. Is everyone happy to endorse writing to our 2 MPs, Bedford and North East Beds? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't recommend we get back together again. You know, I know we want to get together and have a big hug, but it's not recommended. Okay.
We'll be jabbed up by then, Mark. We'll be pumped with antibodies or something.
Yeah.
You might.
Chair, can I suggest this is something that's raised at next week's Parish and Town Council?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good idea. Too. Yeah, thank you. All right. I think that is. Well, okay. The last item is the list of outstanding matters. Sue, anything you want to highlight on there?
Well, obviously, we tried to get the police to come to this meeting, didn't we? And so I've put question mark March meeting. We can only invite them, but we do need to know in advance, because what we don't want to do is get residents thinking that the police are coming, then find they're not.
Yeah.
Equally, the other way around, we don't want to not tell residents, then find they do come. But I'll do an invite and see what we can sort out.
So again, keep trying.
Yeah, I will.
They've always got this problem with the shift patterns and what their duties are as to whether they're free or not, and getting them to commit to being at any meeting. And we end up with egg on our face if we arrange anything they don't turn up. And I appreciate they've got operational considerations, but it's still difficult in terms of us helping our residents. And I still not had. I've actually when PC Hoffy Percy said she couldn't make this meeting, I said, look, tell us a date, time when you can make a meeting. We'll try and do it. And I said, obviously, our March meeting, but I've not had a further response to that. I think she's on response duties or something today. So, right, if there's nothing else from your outstanding matters, Sue.
There's one more, and that's this issue that Vincent raised, which is the sleepers on Ashmead Road. Now, I know that there was a suggestion. I spoke to Phoenix resurfacing about that to see if they wouldn't do that work. So we really are back to the borough, I think, and it is borough land, of course. So I don't know where we're at. I don't know whether we're.
Okay, the last thing on that one was that Philippa. I promised to Philippa that I would send some photographs of it. I went out on site, but actually, I think what I want to do, if that's okay, because I think Vince, you have a particular view about where the sleepers should be in terms of the path.
Yeah.
And I wondered whether we could socially distance meet on site and just confirm that. I want to make sure we do.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah, but we need to do that fairly quickly. I don't know, Stephen. I don't know whether you and Philippa have used up your council award fund already this current year. But
we've got the next innings is about to start, so we probably slip it under that.
Okay, so I'll give you I'll send you a message if that's okay. We'll try and agree when we can be in the same area, if that's okay. But I also want to make sure we don't make anything worse by creating a trip hazard or otherwise. Yeah, sorry, Michael.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you do decide to meet up, I'd quite like to be there as well, just to.
We'll do our best.
Do what you're planning, if
sure.
it's possible.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And so that shows as well as the.
Yeah.
No problem. All right, guys. I think that is the.
Mike, can I just say one thing, please? I've noticed around Brickhill there's been quite a few larger trees being cut down and removed, and new trees put in their place. There's an issue I've got with Douglas Road. There's a group of trees there which are way too big for the position they're in. How do we arrange about getting those looked at professionally to be removed or replaced with a smaller tree? Or trees, should I say.
Can you talk to your borough councillors?
It's a borough council issue.
If you send me a picture, John, I'll have a look at and come back to you.
Okay, fine. Thank you. I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Okay, so that's the end of the meeting. Just want